Thomas Baker is the namesake of Bakersfield, California. He was a pioneer that came from Iowa, came all across the prairies in 1850, went to the capital of California, which was Benicia, California in those days, then went to a beautiful area called Four Creeks, which is now Visalia, and from Visalia he heard of an area called Kern Island, which was the former name of Bakersfield, and in 1862 he came from Visalia to Kern Island via boat, because in 1862 we had the Great Flood of 1862. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. It flooded all the way from Canada to Mexico. Colonel Baker was an entrepreneur. He was a merchant, and most people came to California in 1849 for gold, but he came for merchandise. And he was looking for a place to farm. He was looking for a place to build a store, and he just liked people. He liked creating a community. And so he knew, he went to Benicia and he went to Visalia, but they didn't really match what he wanted. And when he came to Kern Island, he realized this was going to be a city that would be important in Southern California, and he decided to make this his home. When he came to Kern Island, it was all swampland because the Kern River had not been dammed at that time. So he saw Indians, he saw Tule elk, he saw the Kern River flowing rapidly. I mean, it was a very, very beautiful area. But he realized that you could not build a community on swampland. And in 1850, in Washington, D.C., they passed the Swamp Act of 1850, saying if you could drain swamplands, those lands would be given to the states for taxes. And so in partnership with Harvey Brown, they went together and they started draining the swampland. And I will tell you that God kind of helped them out a little bit, because they had a flood which changed the channel of the Kern River, which made it easier to drain. And after that, they had a 7-year drought. So with God's help, he drained the Tule swamps of Kern Island. Well, the first business that he set up was real estate, because when he drained the swampland, he received 87,000 acres. And Colonel Baker gave almost all of that land away. He only kept 100 acres for himself, and if he sold it for pennies. So his first official thing was being a real estate broker, but he was also a politician, he was also a merchant, he was also a surveyor. So I'm sure after, between surveying and selling land, that would be the first couple of years is what he would have been busy doing then. In 1869, it was known as Bakersfield, because anybody coming through, if you were a traveler, you would stay at Colonel Baker's home. He would feed you. He would give your horse alfalfa. He was just, he knew hospitality. And so everybody's saying, as you passed from like maybe LA area going up to Visalia area, they would say, well, stop at Colonel Baker's field and make sure your horse is watered and you'll have a nice meal. Ellen Baker makes a good meal. And so everybody knew this area as Baker's Field. And in 1869, which was the year that we officially received a post office, Colonel Baker thought this area was going to be called Kern Island. And Philo Jewett, a sheep farmer, at a meeting said, let's call this Bakersville. And Colonel Baker was very upset at that, and he did not like that name. And finally he said, well, if you're going to call it anything, then call it Bakersfield. And so that's the official name, and that was when they sent the paperwork back for the official post office, it was Bakersfield. A friend of mine, Judy Salamanca, and I were having lunch one day, and we said we should do something together. And so we were kind of brainstorming, and I had just written a history book about my church, and I thought, wonder if we could do a history book on Bakersfield. And I went to the museum and to the library after that lunch and realized that no one had ever written a book about Colonel Baker. That was just phenomenal to me. So we started researching. We thought we'd have a book out in like a year. Actually, it took us 4 years. Meeting the great-great-grandson of Colonel Baker, Chris Brewer, certainly moved us along. As we started researching Colonel Baker and I started to know him as a person, I found out he was nicer and nicer. When I came here, I moved here from Saudi Arabia with my husband, who's a chemical engineer, and we found this city to be so friendly. And I always wondered, why have I moved to other cities and they've not been so friendly? And everyone here is so friendly. And I think that is Colonel Baker's legacy lives on. He was friendly, and the people who live in Bakersfield are friendly.